Crime in the North East has been around for centuries, but it's been on the uprise in the past few years, and I want to know why. I've been doing some research and investigating to find out what's causing crime to be on the rise, what the government are doing about it, and how people get into crime in the first place.
Knife crime nationally is rising.
And people are dying in future. Newcastle's next.
Be advised, now switching to T-Mobile.
No justice here. No justice here. No justice here. No justice.
Although crime has been around for years, it has risen more dramatically in the past 3 years. Last year alone, there was 1,002 incidents of knife crime, which had gone up from the 763 in 2010 to 11. One cause of this issue is that the amount of police has also went down massively. I want to talk to a police officer and find out why crime is on the rise and what they are doing about it.
My name's Stephen Preston. I'm the neighbourhood inspector over at Southwick at this point in time. Part of my role is to look after a particular area, that being Southwick, and I've also looked after South Tyneside, South Shields for a number of years as well, in this capacity and other capacities. I'm also the lead, one of the leads on knife crime in the area command, and I report every 6 months on an operation which is a national operation called Operation Sceptre. Now, Operation Sceptre is a national event which looks at knife crime in a particular area where we actually work. This area being Sunderland as I speak about it today. Now, with regards to knife crime, what I would say is knife crime nationally is rising. However, in the location where we are, we don't have a particular problem around knife crime. Very concerning that we do have an issue, but it's not a concerning issue, and we do put certain measures in place to try and counteract that. What we do report on with regards to Operation Sceptre is actually incidents around knife crime. So what we look at is particular area sweeps, where we search particular areas where we might have information that knives might be getting stored. On top of that, we work alongside our partners, which is Trading Standards. We do operations around test purchasing around knife crime to make sure that the sales of knives are being controlled. On top of that, we look at stop and search. I'm also one of the leads on stop and search in the area as well. So we try and target correctly, and also utilising the code of ethics, how we're doing stop and search as well. Obviously, stop and search is a preventive measure, and if we get the stop and search right, targeting the right individuals where we might have intelligence or recent activity that would allude to potential carrying of knives, we try and address that issue and bring these people to justice. If you said to me what would be the reasons as to why people carry knives, there's a whole host of reasons why people do that. As you know, every individual, every household occupies and controls around about 30 knives. Now we have domestic violence in there, which we try and take that very seriously. We've got drug and alcohol substance misuse that once again we'll try and identify. We also have some organised crime, some gang cultures. Not a lot, but that can include use of weapons, etc. There's other issues where people hand knives over, and these people will be guilty as an accessory, which is guilty as a principal. There's probably a lack of awareness about what the laws are around knife crime. Obviously, with some reductions in officers and youth provisions, there's been a little bit of a lack of probably, I would say, engagement opportunities towards youths. So what we're doing now, we're trying to get into schools more often, using the neighbourhood officers to get in and give some education around knife crime. Now, in addition to, like I say, the work that we are undertaking as well, we've got the YOLO, we've got Operation Sceptre, which is running. We have stop search, we have the education, we have the youth offender provisions as well. There's some high profile cases that do come. Unfortunately, every now and again we do have a murder or a serious incident involving knife crime. We try and utilise the media as best we can. Anything of the nature of that draws public attention, and if we do that, then obviously we'll try and put some high profile information out to the public to show what work the police have done. We work with our partner agencies to do this as well, and from that we'd like to sell the story, to say, look, this is what occurred, this is what's happened. It brings the community back to some normality, but also shows the fact that we've actually dealt with the offender, we've put the offender before the court, and then we'd like to give a sentence out which actually shows the public that they've taken that risk away from the community and they're currently in custody.
After talking to Steve about crime in the North East and how it's on the uprise, I then wanted to find out how people get into crime in the first place. I did this by talking to someone called Claire, who was convicted for 14 years of joint enterprise, and she's here to tell me her story and how she got into crime.
My name's Claire, and this is my story. I got out last June after doing a 14-year life sentence. I was sentenced in April 2004 for joint enterprise murder, which is basically when you're at the scene of a crime and somebody else gets hurt, or in this case, like, unfortunately gets killed. I'd say, like, the lead up to that, before that, I was very bad on drugs. I'd been really bad on drugs, taking heroin, crack, any tablets I could get my hands on, anything I could get my hands on, for about 4 years leading up to that. And everything was just massively out of control, really chaotic lifestyle, shoplifting, getting into trouble, robbing, doing whatever you can for the money every day. And it started off, I was fine, I went to school, I did really well at school. I was even going to go to Cambridge University. I always wanted to be a vet. And then I met someone and got in a really, really bad, violent relationship. And that went on for years. Never thought I'd put up with it, but you do. And it led into another one. And in the meantime, I wasn't really allowed to talk to anyone. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. He took drugs. And I don't know, like, in a really stupid part of my head, I just thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. It was the violence, it was just, it wears you down. And I ended up just, it helps you escape when you're taking the drugs. And like I said, it was something that he did. And I just sort of followed suit and ended up doing it myself. You've always got the money to get a drug habit, you've never got the money to maintain one. So then you have to start doing things to get the money. So that's when the smaller charges build up, with things shoplifting, credit cards, just anything to get your hands on, whatever money. The day that it happened, because it was quite a mess, the way I was living my life, I'd split up with my partner and got in a relationship with someone else. Obviously they didn't like each other very much. We'd accidentally bumped into the victim that day on the metro, and an argument started between the partner I was with then and the victim, who was by then my ex-partner. And it went on for about 10 minutes on and off the metro. Got off, there was just loads of shouting, threats, swearing, everything, everyone up a height, railed. And it was near my mum's, and I just know in my head, it was near my mum's house. I knew my son was there. I didn't want it escalating over. The lad I was with, we had a stereo and a block of kitchen knives on with that had been bought, like he'd bought, and I was taking the stereo for my son. And he asked for one of them. I handed him the knife. I think the fact that it was so close to my mum's, with the band being there, and because it was my partner at the time and my ex-partner, and because they were both violent and not knowing what to do, I don't know what my thought process was, or if I even had one. It was just a case of, oh, well, give us that, so you hand it over. And in my head I'm just thinking, I'm in trouble when I get home anyway, I'm in trouble when I get home. And it didn't happen straight away. I don't know, it looked like they just sort of squared up and stood in front of each other, and then obviously the victim, he just fell down, and that was it. Just the one wound, like in an unfortunate place, and that there was nothing they could do. So then we got arrested a few hours later. I wouldn't speak to anyone when I first went in, because I wasn't allowed to really speak to anyone out here, so, which is hard when you're surrounded by loads of people and you're on your own. And I was proper, like, I didn't know what to say to anyone or how to communicate or get along with anyone. I got released last year, and I'm working now and volunteering at a couple of charities as well, helping out with them. Just, I don't know, just to try and give back a bit. Because the main thing what I want to do now is to help people so that they don't get in a position that like what I was in, you have to value yourself and not put up with that. Your whole thing changes. Someone's got complete control of your life and you don't feel in control of yourself anymore. Drugs don't help because you're not thinking and at all. It completely takes over. It's like when I look back now, that's like a dream, like it happened to somebody else. I don't relate to that person that happened to at all. But you don't need to lose like a massive chunk of your life and have stuff like that happen in the meantime. You really, really need to like just get as much help as you can and try not to get involved in drugs, and don't have anything to do with anyone, your partner, whether you're a lad, whether you're a lass, anyone that will control you or bully you in any kind of way or have any influence on your life like that, because it builds up and it's subtle at first, and before you know it, you've just got no control, and that's how far it can go. If you're not a victim of it yourself, then someone else will end up being a victim, because violence breeds violence and there's no end to it, it just goes on.